So it's crossed 300 participants now. The chat will be full of noise. I think that's not where, so Harish, so you should figure out a way where you only see the things that are addressed to panelists.
Okay, I'm getting started now. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Well, good morning or good afternoon. Welcome to this inaugural session, the program launch for the postgraduate diploma in computer science and artificial intelligence that's brought to you by IIIT-Delhi and Great Learning. My name is Harish Subramanian. I'm going to host this session, and before we get started, let me just welcome all of you who've shown interest in this program and in this particular session. I think we all know that computer science and AI is a massively in-demand field, and I'm sure a lot of you are interested in making a career in this field. And what we're going to go through in this session will hopefully help you make the right decisions. What are we going to do today? First, I'll introduce, we have a fantastic panel of guests who are going to walk you through the various aspects of, of the program, the institutions, and also some of the process behind the program. And once we're done with the introductions, we'll walk you through the prowess of IIIT-Delhi and the Center for Artificial Intelligence there. We'll give you a brief introduction to Great Learning and what's unique about our learning model. I'll then walk you through the program itself, a little bit about the motivation for this program and why this is a timely program. And I'll walk you through some of the specifics of the program. At the end, I'll take questions. And if I can't answer them, we have, we have the brightest minds from both IIIT-Delhi and Great Learning here. We have leaders from both organizations. So we'll do our best to get all of your questions answered. Just a quick note, periodically through this session, we have a couple of very short, just a single question poll questions, right? So we're going to ask you a single poll. So if you're so interested, just answer that poll. Just watch out for it. Nothing to do right now. Just giving you a heads up. All right, let's get started. So who are the speakers here today? I'm delighted to have such a great group to talk to this morning or afternoon. I guess it's afternoon now. So first, let me introduce from IIIT-Delhi, Professor 𝗚𝗏𝗵𝗶 welcome. Professor Raghava is an assistant prof at the CSE department at IIIT-Delhi. He earned his PhD at Wright State University in Ohio in the United States, and leads the Knowledgeable Computing and Reasoning Lab. Now, I found this interesting, Professor Raghava, correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand it's pronounced the Cracker Lab.
Right, that's right.
Fantastic. Professor Raghava also has a ton of experience. He's been at virtually every major research lab that I can think of, right? Everything in my radar: GE Research, IBM Research, Xerox Research, Bell Labs. So really delighted to have you here, Professor Raghava.
Thank you. Thanks, Harish.
We also have Professor Saket Anand from IIIT-Delhi. He's an associate professor at both the CSE and the ECE departments there. Professor Saket earned his PhD at Rutgers University in New Jersey in the US. He focuses on computer vision and machine learning, a topic that I'm sure a lot of you are very excited about because that's why you're here. And I was also intrigued to find that Professor Saket works in an area which is quite interesting. It's kind of statistical methods for heavily corrupted data. And now, I've been in the machine learning space myself, so I kind of understand the value of that. Everybody assumes data is a given, but it's not. And Professor Saket is working on some fantastic work to clean up a lot of that. We were expecting to have Professor Sanjit Kaul as well. Unfortunately, due to personal reasons, he wasn't able to be here, but I'm going to introduce him anyway. Professor Sanjit is the program coordinator. So I think it's incumbent on me to introduce Professor Sanjit, who's also an associate professor at the ECE department at Triplet Italy, and also earned his PhD at Rutgers University, if I'm not mistaken. We also have Mutharaju, who's the founder and CEO here at Great Learning. Mohan has had a long and distinguished career in education. He's also the vice chairman at Great Lakes Institute of Management. Mohan's also he's done numerous things. I think he's worked in machine learning himself, in computing himself, and was then the MD at Tiger Global here in India. And Mohan earned his MBA from Stanford University's Graduate School of Business, his MS from the University of California at Berkeley, and his BTech from IIT Bombay. So welcome, Mohan. And finally, I told you my name, but let me actually introduce myself as well. My name is Harish Subramanian. I am a director here at Great Learning. I lead all of our academic initiatives. Academically, I earned an MBA from the Kellogg School of Management and a Master of Science at the University of Texas at Austin, where I actually worked in the fields of AI and machine learning myself. I had a career in financial algorithms, then moved on to management consulting with the Boston Consulting Group, and now help educate all of you in these areas. So welcome, everyone. I know we had the bio pages, but I thought I'd pause and walk through all of you, right at the beginning. Now, before we get started on these program specifics, let's actually understand the institutions that are bringing you these programs, and a little bit about why we're bringing you these particular programs, right? CS and AI, obviously everybody's very, very interested in these areas right now, and that's why all of you are here. But let's also talk about why Triplet Delhi and Great Learning are uniquely positioned to bring you such a compelling program. So first, I'll hand it over to Professor Raghava, to walk through Triplet Delhi and the institution's prowess, as well as some of the important centers in there. Over to you, Professor Raghava. Just let me know when you want me to move to the next slide, and I'll do that.
Sure. Thank you, Harish, for the wonderful introduction. And so next few slides, I'll be talking about Triplet Italy. Right. So Triplet Italy stands for Indraprastha Institute of Information Technology. So there are other triplets as well, and each one has a different. The initial I stands for different things. Right? So there are triplets that start with international. And then there are triplets that start with Indian. So we are in the Indraprastha Institute of Information Technology. Okay, so it's been 13 years since Triplet Delhi has started, and in fact we'll be celebrating the Foundation Day on September 8th in the next few days. So we are autonomous, right? So we are autonomous administratively as well as academically. So there's a board of governors that takes the decision at the top level, but generally almost all the policies are discussed and debated by the faculty members. Then it goes to the Senate and then to the board of governors. So everything is autonomous and the decisions are taken within the institute. In terms of the vision, so there are broadly two, right? So it has been started with the goal of earning global reputation and doing well both in research as well as in teaching and education. And this is coupled with socially relevant problems. let's say like sustainable goals and mobility and all these aspects. And we'll also be discussing briefly certain applications right towards the end of this presentation, right, or sometime later. Okay, at Triplet Delhi, there are 6 departments. Say computer science and engineering, ECE, there's social sciences and humanities, and then there's human-centered design, computational biology, mathematics. And all these 6 departments are housed within one building, which is the research and development block. And this facilitates lots of interdisciplinary research. So faculty members are closely knit. We bump into each other, we talk with each other, and then there are lots of internal collaborations as well. And they resulted in lots of good collaborations research-wise, as well as I would also say teaching, from a teaching point of view. We give guest lectures in other courses within Triplet Delhi, and then there were instances where we co-taught courses as well. So Harish, please go to the next slide. So all these collaborations, they resulted in several degree programs, and there are also quite a few faculty members who work in the AI research. And this is the sort of the timeline, right? So it started with when the institute started in 2008. CSE was the first program, and then several programs over the years were added to the list of programs. So there's ECE, and then there are these interdisciplinary programs which has computer science plus X, right? So that X could be mathematics, social sciences, and biology. And recently, 2 years back, we started a degree program in AI for the undergraduates, and that's the CSI program. So it started in 2019, and it was one of the earliest programs in India that was started in India. Next slide, please. So along with these programs, there are also several other MTech programs, and the ones there's a specific program for artificial intelligence in MTech in CSE, and there's one in machine learning for MTech in EC, and there are also several other specializations like say data engineering, mobile computing, right? But for the purpose of our diploma program, I think these are the ones that are relevant for us. Okay, yeah, next slide, please. So along with these undergraduate and MTech programs, we have a very active PhD student community. So there are around 220 plus PhD students, and this is one of the largest PhD programs in CS in India. And they are very active in terms of research as well, and because they go to international and national conferences, present their work, interact with other, do the networking and all. And all the PhD students, or several of the PhD students, they have won these fellowships, right? They are both government fellowships as well as corporate fellowships, spread across multiple enterprises. Like recently, there are PhD students who got the Google fellowship and Microsoft fellowship. And earlier, there were also TCS fellowships and INAE's best thesis awards. So the students are very active, as mentioned earlier. Next slide, please. Yes. So all these has resulted in the diploma program. Like I said, there are lots of active collaborations among the faculty members, and so all of this, and we are all obviously very interested in teaching, and we want to offer these new programs as well. So through the collaboration with Great Learning, we have started this PG diploma in CS and AI, and so we'll be talking about that in the next few slides. Harish, please go to the next slide. So for this particular diploma program, 7 of us will be taking up different modules, and we'll be talking about the modules right towards the end. And each one of us will be looking at different modules, right? So for example, Professor 𝗟𝗏𝗵𝗶, Professor Saket, Professor Jainendra, and Professor Ranjita, the 4 of them will be working on and they'll be teaching the machine learning and deep learning components. So there are 3 components. There's machine learning, advanced machine learning, and deep learning. And all the 4 would be handling those components. And these are very relevant for their research as well. So they, over the years, they have been using these techniques, machine learning and deep learning techniques, in their own research areas. So they are very familiar with it. And they also teach these courses at Triplet Italy. So Professor 𝗟𝗵𝗶, he'll be teaching the algorithms course or algorithms module. And again, it's the same for him, right? So his PhD is related to theory and algorithms, and he does, his research is also related to that particular area. And he has been teaching algorithms course at Triplet Italy ever since I think he joined, which has been a few years now. So again, it's very relevant to his research and teaching. Professor Vikram and myself will be taking up the data structures and algorithms module in the PG diploma course. And both of us have been teaching the core courses for first-year undergrads, for example, like Introduction to Programming and Data Structures for a few years now. And this is a module that's useful across the different research areas and applications, right? So, so I'm pretty sure that we'll be putting in lots of efforts in teaching all these modules. And I hope, and I'm sure that it'll all come out well, right? So next slide, Harish.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Raghava. That was a fantastic introduction to both, Triplet Delhi, as well as, it's, it's always interesting when people are getting into a program. One of the things they don't often get to see is, all of the faces, who they will be kind of interacting with. And so it's fantastic for everybody to see, some of the names and faces up here of people that have been interacting with, of course, and they get to interact with 2 of you right up front today. Since you pointed out that Professor Saket is going to be, one of the critical faculty for the machine learning and AI component, and I understand the AI research is at the forefront of a lot of what you do at Triplet Delhi. So I'll invite Professor Saket to, kind of walk us through AI research, what you do at Triplet Delhi as far as AI is concerned, and and yeah, some of the exciting work you've been doing there.
Thanks.
Thank you, Harish. As Harish pointed, that AI research has sort of become, come at the center of Triplet Delhi, with various applications spanning out. And one such example is the establishment of the Infosys Centre for Artificial Intelligence. And this was established in 2016 and supported by the Infosys Foundation. And since then, we have come a long way. We started with about maybe 7 or 8 faculty members, and we have grown to around 20 now, with many more students spanning the PhD scholars, the MTech students, and the undergraduate students as well. And we have projects through which we offer internships and research assistant positions as well. Through this effort, we have gained substantial research expertise in all these areas which are listed here: machine learning, deep learning, ethics in AI, knowledge representation, and also the domains of language, speech, vision, and multimedia as well. And this research expertise is demonstrated by regular publications. Year after year, we have been publishing in the top tier conferences and journals where the global experts in the area are often publishing, right? So apart from the academic research that we do, which leads to publications and so on, we are also actively involved in sponsored research projects, which typically have an application domain tied to it. So some of them are listed here, and these are the crucial ones, and you may have seen them in the news and read about them at different places. So autonomous driving and intelligent transportation, we have an active project going on right now. We have a bunch of faculty members who are working in social computing. So this is basically computational technology coming together to understand and possibly even predict social behavior of humans. So this is a really upcoming field, especially with the digital social networks, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. With all of these becoming so popular, the analysis of this data is also very important. And then AI for healthcare. I mean, there's been a lot of action in this space in India as well, and particularly with COVID, AI has become really a game changer. And you would have noticed this by the number of startups which are spawning, and the number of any new initiatives that are going on. And similarly, AI for environment. I mean, we have been hearing a lot about climate change, global warming, and so on. And and at the center of it is wildlife conservation, loss of biodiversity, habitat for animals, deforestation, and similarly agriculture, food security. These are all this is part of the ecosystem that we have to maintain in order to survive and survive well. And AI is again turning out to be a game changer in this space. And many of our faculty members at IIIT-Delhi and specifically at the Infosys Centre for AI, we are actively involved in this research. Just in line with the interdisciplinary programs that we have had at IIIT-Delhi, there are also research centers which are very interdisciplinary, and they span across different focus areas. So for example, we have a Center of Excellence in Healthcare, which is supported by the BKDF Foundation of the Delhi government. And similarly, we recently got the Center of Excellence in Sustainable Mobility. And one of the things that you may have come across is the e-ticketing that recently started in New Delhi. So that is one of the outcomes of CSM, or Center for Sustainable Mobility. Similarly, we have Center for Computational Biology, and next slide, please, Harish. Center for Design and New Media, which is also again supported by the TCS Foundation. We have a Center for Technology in Policing, where we work with the Delhi Police and solve law enforcement related problems. And again, several projects there have AI components there as well. And I mean, apart from these, we have Center for IT and Society, which focuses on the social aspects and how IT, information technology, can influence those. We have cybersecurity systems research and a Center of Excellence for Light Fidelity, which is focusing on light-based communication as opposed to our radio frequency based. So these are several centers, and of course, all the faculty are from IIIT-Delhi, and we are very closely knit. So there's a lot of interdisciplinary collaboration that results. And therefore, we bring in theoretical expertise in AI as well as applied expertise from all the different domains. Like I said, so along with the academic prowess that we have, we are also committed to taking it out of the lab, to take it beyond the research lab and take it back to the society, and in different ways. So for example, we have the next slide, please, Harish. So we have the IIIT Innovation and Incubation Center, which actually houses many startups which have come out of student research and faculty research sometimes, and these startups actually span all these different areas which are listed here. And these startups are usually very high tech and come out of the research projects that we end up doing, and our students are in the forefront. We also have some external members who have who actually participate in the incubation center. So we have this entrepreneurial culture, and in fact, it is part of our vision at IIIT as well. So we focus on research-led teaching and entrepreneurship as well. But in addition to the startup culture and making efforts towards commercially viable solutions, we also try to give back to society in different ways. Harish, if you could go to the next slide, please. So and one such example is where we worked closely with the Wildlife Institute of India. And you may have seen this in the news. India's national tiger census in 2020 was recognized as the largest camera trap-based wildlife survey and was mentioned in the Guinness World Records. And at IIIT, one of our teams actually worked with Wildlife Institute of India to provide an AI-based solution to manage the huge amount of data that was collected through this immense survey. And this is just one such example. There are various different faculty members who are contributing various different ways to make use of society. And of course, we have the unconditional support of our students and other research scholar contributors. So this is it, and I would like to end with the next slide, where I would like to highlight that we are very young as far as an institution is concerned. We are only 13 years old, and not even 13 yet. There's still a month to go. But over the last 13 years, we have steadily been rising through various different rankings despite being so small. So for example, the national NIRF rankings, we are at number 56 already. And even global rankings, we have been steadily rising. And that's been our endeavor to excel in research globally, and then that research driving education. So with that, I'll just stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Saket. I'll hand it over to Mohan, but we are, we're also a relatively young organization, and I think with that comes a certain energy and drive, and that's one of the things that motivated this collaboration to begin with. So I'm very happy to see you highlight some of the progress. I'm sure these numbers will need to be updated every year because the numbers down there are going to get smaller and smaller. But yeah, thank you very much for that introduction. I'll now hand it over to Mohan, who's the CEO and founder at Great Learning. And Mohan, if you can walk us through the Great Learning side of things, what we do at Great Learning, and what motivated the coming together of IIIT-Delhi and Great Learning for this unique program.
Thank you, Harish, and thank you, Professor Saket and Professor Raghava, for that wonderful introduction to IIIT-Delhi and all the amazing work that's being done there. And a warm welcome to all the participants. I see that we are close to 1,000 people on this session, and there's probably similar, if not more, people also participating from social media. So thank you all for joining this and showing your interest for this program. I think by now you would have gotten a sense of the amazing innovation that is happening at IIIT-Delhi. And Great Learning's mission is to bring the advantages of that, the excellence that is there in institutions like IIIT-Delhi to a larger audience. Because the number of people that are privileged enough to actually study at institutions like IIIT-Delhi, unfortunately, is not that large because of physical constraints. And that's where Great Learning comes into the picture to kind of break those physical constraints and bring the high quality education and the transformational impact of this high quality education to as many enthusiastic learners as possible. And in doing that, we have come a long way. Great Learning is 8 years old. And in these 8 years, we have impacted more than 1.5 million students. And we are among India's largest professional learning company today. And our goal is to enable career success and life transformation for students through high quality learning, and for professionals through high quality learning that actually helps them accelerate and boost their careers. We now have students from 170 countries. We started in India, but we realized that there is a hunger for learning everywhere. And drawn by our learners, we've gone across the world. So there are learners from 170 countries. And we have, to these learners, delivered now over 60 million hours of impactful learning. And this is just not possible in the physical campus, right? And thanks to technology, thanks to the advances that we have had over the last few years, we are able to actually do this at such a large scale. We work with over 500 companies that have recognized that The graduates of our programs are a great source of talent and regularly hire the graduates of our various programs. We also work with over now 3,000 industry experts who bring in their expertise and practical relevance, and that's what we talk about, combining academic excellence with practical relevance. So to complement all the amazing faculty members that you just learned about, there are also these industry experts who bring in their experience, who bring in the practical problems that you are likely to encounter in your work world and help you prepare to solve those in the work world. Great Learning was fortunate to have been awarded the best EdTech company last year, and we are just getting started. Next slide, please. So many of you probably have come across this already. Great Learning is known for the quality of programs it offers. Today, now we have close to 50 programs across certificate programs, diploma programs, and degree programs, all in cutting edge areas. One of the things we pride ourselves in is bringing the best of academia with the best of industry relevance and really create programs that meet the current and future requirements of the industry. So our programs are all cutting edge. They address the requirements of the industry and are delivered with very, very high quality. So students experience completion rates of 91%. So, and that is the highest anywhere it is there in the world. So we have very high program completion rates, very, very good student satisfaction rates, and very good career transitions. So the offering is very simple. If you sincerely study what you have to learn, and if you sincerely practice it, and if you learn what you're supposed to learn, there are amazing careers and career opportunities that are there for you to be had. And there is a lot of evidence of that. Just simply go and look on LinkedIn as to how many alums who have done programs at Great Learning have actually experienced career transitions and amazing boost to their careers. So we have programs across all the cutting edge areas in the data science vertical. So data science, business analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, in the technology vertical. So cloud computing, cybersecurity, software development, full stack, and IoT, blockchain, all of those kinds of technologies. We have programs on, and of course, business-oriented programs, whether it is management, digital marketing, design thinking, and across all areas of business as well. And of course, we also offer a number of degree programs. We partner with the best academic institutions, both in India and abroad. What you see here is a small list sampling of our prestigious academic partners. And the reason we partner with these institutions is because that's where the best faculty are. In the entire education space, in my experience, the most important aspect that is in the shortest supply is great faculty members. Unfortunately, the world doesn't have enough amazing teachers, and the ones that are there at these best institutions. And so our goal is to bring their magic, the magic that these amazing faculty members have, to as many learners as possible. And that's why we partner with these institutions, whether it is the IITs in India, IIT Madras, IIT Roorkee, IIT Bombay, or IIITs, IIIT-Delhi, IIIT Hyderabad, or international institutions like Stanford, MIT, Northwestern, UT Austin, and Asian top institutions like National University of Singapore or Deakin University in Australia. So all of these places, so we are able to tap into the world's best professors and bring the magic of their excellence to the learners that are willing to learn from them. Next slide, please. So one of the things that we are very proud of is the career services that we are able to offer and the career support that we are able to offer through the use of technology, through the use of content, through the use of the various processes that we have put in place. We are able to offer career services at an unprecedented scale. Typical institutions, because of the constraints that they have, are able to support, let's say, 500 students, 1,000 students, 5,000 students. We are able to provide career services to 50,000, 60,000 students and growing. And we do this in a variety of ways. All the learning that you have at Great Learning is augmented by projects where you will solve real world problems. Pretty much there is a project for every course that you go through. You will solve real world problems, and then you will showcase these problems in an e-portfolio. And this is the best evidence of your learning that your future employers can get. So this e-portfolio, the students will have, and it is with you always. It will be hosted on our website, and it's a verified e-portfolio that you can showcase on your LinkedIn. You can showcase to your prospective employers anytime, and it'll be there for the rest of your life. We will support you with your resume building, interview preparation. There's a lot of very good, content that we have, and templates and all of those things that you'll get the advantage for in terms of how to prepare for your interviews and for jobs. And then you get career guidance as well. So it's one thing to learn what you need to learn. It's another thing to demonstrate it and to decide what makes best sense for you. What kind of jobs are you suited for at your stage of career, given your prior education, your prior experience, your past. So you can get this kind of guidance from practitioners, from experts. And as I mentioned, you'll have access to our internal proprietary job board, where there are job postings from more than 500 organizations and growing. And there every month we have hundreds and thousands of students who are getting career transitions, and so all of that benefits will be available to you. This is just a small sampling of our 500 plus hiring partners, and you can see that all the top companies of India and the top MNCs, all of those are part of this list. Next slide, please. So I think the summary of this is that a program like this, which is a very timely program, we are seeing that AI is becoming more and more mainstream, but you cannot get into AI without having a solid foundation in computer science, right? That's what this program is about, bringing these two things together. Some of you may have already done computer science, some of you may not have, but you need to have very solid foundations. So this program will make sure that you have those solid foundations, and then introduce you to AI and build your expertise in that in AI. So it brings together the best of the academic world, the best of online learning, and the best of exposure to real world industry. The technology platform that Great Learning has developed, the processes for online learning, I think are comparable to the best in the world, if not one of the best in the world, and you will get the benefit of all of that. In particular, the curriculum that we have, you would have seen that. If not, I encourage you to look at that. I think it's a great curriculum. It's informed by what is needed in the industry right now, and blends both academic requirements as well as industry requirements very well. And the online learning experience, which you're very welcome to go and get a taste of on the Great Learning platform, as well as the exposure to industry practitioners who will act as your mentor. So all of these are a very unique combination. Both IIIT-Delhi and Great Learning are very innovative institutions, as you may have gathered by now. We are constantly innovating. I have very few institutions that we have encountered have actually become multidisciplinary the way IIIT-Delhi has. And that makes sense because in the real world, the problems are all multidisciplinary. A problem doesn't come labeled as a computer science problem or a biology problem or a electrical engineering problem. Most practical real world problems are interdisciplinary, and I think IIIT-Delhi recognizes that and has set up these centers and are solving those real world problems. And that is exactly what we have done in the online learning space as well. We have taken the best of the offline world into what goes into high quality learning happening on these amazing campuses, and we have tried to bring that into the online world to make sure that you get very good learning outcomes and very good learning experiences. I also want to add here that don't expect any shortcuts. Nothing happens without actually doing the work. Nothing happens without putting in the effort. So, I want to make sure that for those of you that may be interested in pursuing the program, it is a rigorous program. You will have to work hard. Just because it is being done online doesn't mean that it is going to be an easy program for you to do, right? If you have to learn, truly learn and get the outcomes, then You have to put in the effort, you have to go through the program, you have to complete the assignments, you have to do the projects. All of those have to happen. And then you have to do the career related preparation as well. And if you do all of these, I can assure you, and there is so much evidence of the success that, our learners have. So with that, I wish you all the very best. And then back to Harish, unless there is anything more.
No, thank you, Mohan. That's very helpful. Yeah, I'll reiterate this. Nothing worthwhile comes easy, right? So we should absolutely keep that in mind as we get into, the nitty-gritty of the program, which I will right now, right? But first, let me set the scene, right? What we talked about, why IIIT-Delhi and Great Learning came together. Let's, talk about why we think CS and AI is the right program, right? Now, first of all, just let's look at the absolute top line, right? All of you are here in well over thousands of people across all of our platforms, because these are the most important areas right now. They're not just, about 15, 20 years ago, right? I think all of us were in research labs doing a lot of this work. It's moved from research labs, right? Now it's a $200 billion industry, AI, and it's not an industry, right? It's basically an industry that's pervaded everything. It's in healthcare, as Professor Saket was pointing out, the healthcare, it's in wildlife conservation, it's in pretty much any topic, right? And in fact, every app that you probably open today has some element of machine learning or AI or data science in it. Right? And what is powering all of that, right? Now, what is powering all of that is of course, software development, because any application, AI by itself is just an algorithm, right? It's a way of taking data and mathematically figuring out what the outcomes are, but by itself it means nothing, right? It's sitting on somebody's computer program or somebody's model, unless you can put it in action, right? Unless you can kind of integrate that into applications, into products, actually build things out of it. And that's the sweet spot, right? If you look at why are software development and AI the two simultaneously growing, right? And why they're two of the biggest fields in the industry right now, it's because of this complementary nature, right? AI drives software engineering and software engineering powers AI. And that's why it's such an interesting and important combination for us to think about. When people think about AI, they don't actually think about all of the underlying technology, but there's a ton of it, right? Yeah, so and this is borne out even if you look at all of the most important AI and data roles, right? Regardless of what role you look at, there are many skills required. None of this is just one skill, right? It's not one tool or one skill. There are many skills required. You require, some element, depending on the role, of course, right? If you're more on the machine learning data analysis side or data science side, you might need more statistics, more mathematics, and more machine learning. If you're, a data engineer, you probably need a little bit more programming and data wrangling and software engineering and so on. But there is some degree of importance in all of these roles for both the technical elements, mathematical elements, and the algorithmic elements, right? But what I want to highlight is that these are a listing of data and AI roles. But why are programming tools up there, right? Why is software engineering up there? Why is data wrangling up there? Those are kind of the foundational building blocks, right, on which everything else is built. Now, you can't really demonstrate that you know how to do AI or machine learning if you don't really understand how the computing works. There are products out there that people are developing that will help you abstract away from that. But it is, as somebody who's getting into the industry, who's trying to build these products, it's incumbent on you to know both the computing side as well as the data side, right? And that's the driving force behind our entire program design. Right? So why this particular program and why is this unique? Because this program focuses both on data centricity, giving you an intuitive sense of how data works and how to manipulate it, as well as computing proficiency. And you might come with one or the other background, but this program is still important for you because it helps you combine these and become well-rounded in this area. Right? It gives you an understanding of AI and then the ability to build software products because you can write code, because you understand how databases work, because you understand how certain algorithms work. As Mohan was earlier pointing out, this program is path-breaking and different because it's not just academic excellence from IIIT-Delhi and it's not just industry experience from all of the practitioners out there. It's a combination of the two. right? So you get both the rigor as well as, all of the on the ground nitty-gritty details, right? And it's a combination of foundational learning, which is absolutely essential because you can't just jump into practical, right? Then you're kind of walking on shaky foundations. But at the same time, if you just stay with foundational learning, you can't really do anything practical. So, we'll zoom in and out over the course of this program. Right? You're going to learn the foundations through both asynchronous and synchronous learning material, right? Recorded videos, live sessions, and so on. But you're also going to practice this. You're going to do a lot of hands-on work. There are going to be labs, there's going to be projects, there's going to be things that you build, including a capstone project at the end. So that's what makes this, this program unique. And as we talked about, the Triplet Italy and the Great Learning Edge, of course, it's a great curriculum with world-class faculty. That's a given when Triplet Italy is involved. It's fantastic for your resume for a lot of you. Getting a PG diploma from one of the countries and the world's best institutions, and having alumni status at this institution is a powerful motivator for some of you, I'm sure. But of course, that's not all, right? As Mohan mentioned, there are industry mentors, expert practitioners who are going to bring their experiences, who are going to tell you about, hey, this is the theory and this is how it's done in practice, and how do we bridge that gap? And as I said, you're going to work on a ton of hands-on work, tons of projects, an integral part of your learning, right? Going back to the point Mohan was making earlier, that's why this program is not easy. Right? You can listen to us all day long, but you're not going to really get it. You might feel like you get it, but that's like watching Netflix or Hotstar, right? You don't really internalize it until you try to do something, until you try to build these projects. And that's one of the big, focus areas of this program. So let me give you some of the highlights of the program. I think I've noticed that there are a ton of questions. So at this point, I'm going to kind of start answering the program questions. But before that, if you are interested in making a career in AI, if you have more questions about a career in AI and how AI and computer science and all of that works, our team will be sending out a short poll just about now. It's a single question poll. So please answer that question. And for those of you who reach out, our admissions team, our counseling team will reach out to you and talk you through your individual circumstance. Okay, so now moving on to the program.
Harish, maybe the poll now.
Yeah. Yeah, so the poll is up there. I think I just see a ton of responses. So should I wait for the poll to conclude before I move on?
Yeah, I think it's good to give it a few seconds.
Okay. It's interesting. We're talking about data centricity. We're seeing data real time. So it's fascinating to watch for us.
Yeah, I think it's stabilized at around 90%. 90% folks want to make a career in emerging technologies.
Good. So I'm assuming you have, the contact information for these people. So please reach out and we'll get that done. Okay, so I think the poll's been open for just about a minute. So I'm going to move on in a couple of seconds. Shall we end it?
Yeah, you can move on.
Okay, perfect. All right, so let's move on to the actual program, right? I think a lot of you are interested in careers in AI, and we can't do justice to, expounding on all of that in this session. So I'm glad to see you're all interested. We'll reach out and we'll talk to each of you individually. The program is an 11-month program with tons of learning packed into it, right? 11 months seems like a long time, but remember, this is not a full-time program. So it'll go by before you know it. And you have to commit time and energy to making sure that the learning, you're getting all of the learning that you sign up for. There's well over 400 hours of learning. So if you just do the math, you're talking about, on average, allocating about 10 hours a week for learning, right? What does that mean? That means that you want to set aside, at least an hour a day on weekdays, plus a good half-day block on a weekend, right? Something of that order. You can figure out the calendar and how that works for you, but that's the minimum kind of work that you'll require to do justice to this program. But of course, at the end of it, it's a fantastic reward. You get a certificate from Triplet Italy and all the other benefits we talked about, as far as the certificate and alumni status and all of that is concerned. But even more importantly, it'll get you that much closer to the career you want in AI and software engineering, or at the confluence of the two. Right? Some of you had questions about the program fee. The program fee is up on the slide. Reach out if you have more questions about how payment terms work and all of that. But the program fee is 2.25 lakhs plus GST for the entire program.
Just a clarification, the certificate in this case is a postgraduate diploma.
Yeah. Okay, so a lot of you also had questions on who this program is for and whether it is for you. Now, given that there are over 1,000 people, I can't answer that question for each of you individually, but let me actually give you the guiding principles and hopefully you can apply that yourself. And if you have exceptional questions, we can try to answer those. On the one hand, this program is for young working professionals, right? So there are a lot of you who are looking to build a career in AI, looking to leverage perhaps a technical background that you already have. It's not essential, but you might have that to take on roles in AI, in data science and so on. Or you're somebody who's looking to build software products using AI. Right? All of these are and more are scenarios, but on the but young working professionals, this if you have the analytical and or any kind of analytical and quantitative background, this program is possibly for you. It's also for recent graduates, people who are just finishing up on college, people who might have just finished up right now, who are looking to start their career. Either in software development, because it's important for developers these days to understand machine learning and AI, or in artificial intelligence, because as we just established, you need to understand CS. Right? People who are looking to enter, the industry itself, and people who are looking to give themselves an edge, right? And like I said, everybody wants to get in. Everybody, this is the kind of the flavor of the decade, if you will, right? Everybody wants to be in the AI space, but not everybody is willing to put in the work, and not everybody is working with the right people to get coached in the right way. So I think if that's your edge, if you were to take this program, and so if you're looking for that edge, this program is for you. So let me quickly walk you through the curriculum, right? We talked about all of the different important skills on that table that I showed you earlier. So of course, we're going to start with a bit of a refresher on maths and statistics. It's not super complicated stuff, right? So the program requires a basic level of mathematical and statistics. It doesn't require you to be a postgraduate level mathematician or anything like that, but you do need to, if it's been a couple of years since you've done any mathematics or statistics, this refresher is perfect for you. It gives you the ability to kind of revise and ramp up. For those of you who are rusty or who didn't quite do this perfectly during your college days, this is an opportunity to redress that issue, right? And get up to speed. Then we build your solid foundations, right? As we talked about in computer science. Python is the lingua franca of data science, so and AI, so that's what we're going to focus on. But you're going to have the perfect balance of learning core programming and databases and the use of data, right? Now the topics up here, we're talking about doing it in the span of months, right? For you to truly master this is going to take you many years, but we're going to build a good solid foundation so that you're able to use these techniques judiciously. You are comfortable, you are proficient when you go take interviews or when you're using it in your jobs. And then, we can then build on that solid foundation. I think both Professor Raghava and Professor Saket talked about data structures and algorithms and the importance of that. Yes, that's why so many of the greatest minds at IIIT-Delhi are here focusing on giving you that foundation, because that's the core of everything you will do, right? Whether you're writing computer programs or whether you're building machine learning models going forward. Once you've built this foundation, this is phase 1 of the program. You move into phase 2 of the program, where you then add on, AI and machine learning on top of this, right? You're going to learn machine learning, the foundations of supervised and unsupervised learning, various techniques that you will use that are most commonly used. You'll also learn some of the more practical elements, right? So how do you combine these? Ensemble techniques are a way of combining very many common algorithms and using them effectively. Right? Feature selection is a technique for you to, when you have many different data points, how do you select the most important variables, for you to make a prediction and so on. And once you've kind of built that solid core of machine learning, you're then going to move on to deep learning, which powers a lot of machine learning and AI tools these days. Neural network based, deep neural network based algorithms are essentially powering a lot of the apps on your phones and on your machines these days. And specifically, we'll focus on how those pertain to vision. So visual, video, images, and all those kinds of applications, as well as speech and language and natural language processing. This spans the whole gamut of building computer foundations and then, learning how to use machine learning and AI and so on. But and through it all, you're going to work on projects. Through it all, you're going to have quizzes and assessments and so on. But then at the end, you're going to have a capstone project that brings it all together in a real world sense, right? So this capstone project is where you're going to work on a slightly more open-ended problem, something that is going to push and challenge you, where you're going to integrate all of your different, you're not going to have, in all of the previous courses, you will do things that are topical, right? That pertain to that particular course and that particular topic. But by the time you get to the capstone, as the professors were saying, or as Mohan was saying, real world problems don't present themselves as a problem in an ensemble technique problem or a deep learning problem or using this technique or that technique, right? Real world problems are problems, and then you have to figure out how to use the right tools. What are the trade-offs? How do you even get the data and so on? And exposing you to that is the core function of that capstone project. And this capstone project, by the way, is usually incredibly important. Most of our learners who've done programs with us, and I'm sure at Triplet Italy, it's the same with a lot of the graduates, they end up talking about these kinds of projects in all of their interviews. That becomes your focus of your interview, right? That becomes the focus of, because that's where you're able to demonstrate the entire workflow, the entire thought process, and the fact that you can synthesize all these different topics that you've learned into a real world application. So it's an incredibly important part of the entire learning journey, and really caps it off really nicely. So what are the steps in your learning journey? What does a typical week or a month or any of that look like, right? So it's got 6 different components. First, you're going to have learning videos that allow you to learn at your own pace, right? This is in the learning circles, it's called the flipped classroom model, because you're going to have the ability, if you have the background, you might run through these videos a little fast. If you don't have the background, it gives you the ability to watch these things 2 or 3 times or pause and look up notes and all of that stuff. So unlike a live session, which goes at a single pace, with self-paced learning, you're able to bridge those gaps. So by the time you come to the live sessions, each of you is roughly at the same level. And if you don't have the background, this is a great equalizer because it gives you the opportunity to catch up, right? And this is going to happen every week. Augmenting this are the live faculty sessions. Now, the live faculty sessions and the live mentor sessions, the live faculty, we've introduced some of the faculty. Mentors are typically industry experts who do this day in and day out in their day jobs. Right? And so you're going to get both of these perspectives, and both of these are live sessions, which complement the self-paced learning videos. And you're going to get constantly assessed. One very important element of this program is that you have to test yourself, and we have to test you for us to know that things are moving along, right? Like I said, you can watch videos all you want, you can listen to me or to the faculty all you want, but you have to test yourself. So you're going to have weekly quizzes, weekly assessments to constantly test yourselves. Our goal is not to quote unquote fail anybody, right? The goal is for you to test yourself so that you know that you're staying on pace. And if you're not staying on pace, we have a fantastic program and an academic team who will reach out to you and support you and kind of coach you through this. But it's also for us to understand, where there are certain problem areas and so on. We take all of this feedback quite seriously. We work with the faculty and with our own academic team to distill all of the feedback that you give, and if needed, wherever needed, make certain adjustments over the course of the program. So it's vitally important that we constantly get that feedback. As I said, we have that program office and academic support. So at any time through this learning journey, if you're stuck, if you feel like, you don't know, how, if you feel stuck at a project, of course you have your peers, you'll have some fantastic peers, you have ways to reach out to them, but you will also have a very robust program office team supporting you, whether it's logistical issues, you missed a session, or ways to catch up, or whatever it is, or more academic questions. We have ways for you to address all of that. And finally, as I said, project-based assessments. Now, projects are vitally important. This is where you're going to actually implement things. You're going to write code. You're going to test that code. We are going to evaluate how good your code is. And this is again an opportunity for you to constantly improve, right? I will, I'll emphasize this as many times as needed, but a lot of these assessments, whether it's project or quizzes, we do this not as final exams and all of that, but constantly throughout the program, right? Each of those little modules, little courses, the 8 courses that you saw will have a project, right? You'll have a quizzes, you'll have assessments. And the reason is because we want to do it in a timely way, while, to understand whether or not you're stuck. Knowing at the end that you didn't really understand it that well is not as useful as knowing it, at that time, so that we can actually do something to address it. Okay, so that's the program. If you again want to learn more about the program, I'll pause here and we can do this another poll. So please reach out and let us know. If you can start this poll on more information on the program, the PG diploma itself, this is a great opportunity for you to reach out and tell us that you want to learn more, and and our team will get back to you.